Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to meet somebody who is a bit of a rock star today because he's travelled here from overseas and he has been all over the Australian media. Gary Bencheghib, talking about New Age Activism, founder of Make a Change World. Today alone, this morning, has been on ABC Weekend Morning Show. He's been on Weekend Today on Channel 9 with Peter Stefanovic. He's been on ABC Radio. He's been all over television. If he appears on Love Island, he'll have the whole media landscape covered. I hope that never happens. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Paris-born, I've got to get this right. Paris-born, grew up in Bali, spends time living all over the world, including New York. He is an environmental activist and filmmaker, and the only person that I have met who has paddled down the most polluted river in the world in Indonesia in a kayak made out of plastic bottles. Now, I just want to check, is there anybody else here who's done that? No? Otherwise, it would be, there's a couple of people. No, I don't think they have. But Gary has. Gary attended film school in New York City, later got a job making videos for National Geographic. He is a videographer. Realising that their homeland of Bali, beautiful island, was being trashed with plastic pollution, Gary, together with his brother Sam, decided to act, and they founded Make a Change World, a media outlet, not-for-profit, that covers and videos some of the world's most pressing problems and those people fighting to combat them. He's passionate about creating social change through videos and expeditions and giving a voice to the underrepresented, and his viral videos are making governments sit up and pay attention. His adventures have included kayaking down the world's dirtiest river to rafting down the Mississippi River and stand-up paddling some of America's most polluted waterways. In the past 2 years, Gary's film work has been seen by over 500 million people. Outside of all of that, he loves nothing more than walking his Labrador dog, Chester. He's a musician. He plays the guitar, the bass, the drums, the gamelan. He's a DJ. He composes music for his films from Bali, via Paris, via New York City, and via a couple of dirty rivers somewhere in the world. He is the prince of pollution prevention. He is the king of cleaning up. He is the Steven Spielberg of social good. He is Gary Bencheghib. Please welcome him, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So you guys look very comfortable in your seats, but I want to take you on a journey to the most polluted place that I've ever been. So I invite you all to close your eyes for a second and imagine the smell of terrible sewers, trash burning, a dead pig floating around you, and rotten eggs, but the kind of eggs that have been rotten for decades. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the Citarum River, considered by media as the most polluted river in the world. 15 million people live along its banks. The Citarum runs for 300 kilometers through one of Indonesia's most populated cities, Bandung, and flows out into the Java Sea, just east of Indonesia's capital, Jakarta. So last summer, my brother and I decided to go down it on the very materials that pollute it. We set out to build 2 plastic water bottle kayaks out of plastic bottles, a bamboo frame, and recycled net to create the most shocking visual of all this trash that's coming in from our rivers into the ocean. So Sam and I grew up on the island of Bali, where you cannot look anymore from plastics. It's in our rivers, it's on the beach, it's everywhere you go. And so at 12 and 14 years old, we decided to create a movement called Make a Change. And we started by cleaning up the beach, and every day more and more would come. So although our beach cleanups were well-intentioned, just more of it came, so we weren't going to solve the problem. So upon doing a little bit more research, we realized that one garbage truck full of plastic pollution enters our ocean every minute, and 80% of it comes from our rivers. So why not focus on the problem directly from our rivers where most of the stuff comes from? So last summer, we decided to research the most polluted river in the world, and upon, very surprisingly, we saw that it was the Citarum River, just the island next to Bali. So we set out to build these kayaks, And we started in the rural city of Majalaya, Indonesia's textile capital. But we needed to be very precautious from all the toxic fumes that was over there. There's about 350 industries that pollute the river. And so you get things from lead to sulfur to all these different toxics. So we put on some precautious gear. We had a full-on waterproof vest, as you can see, gloves, and boots. And so we were ready to take on Chernobyl. But unfortunately, after 30 minutes within the launch of our expedition, we realized that the intense heat and humidity worn us completely out, and we were obliged to take most of it out. That afternoon, Sam fell in the water, he capsized, and as the older brother, you can't imagine the look on my face. I was completely terrified. But luckily, it was right at the point where we'd started for the journey, and so he quickly ran to our support vehicle and put down all the water that we had to make sure that he rinsed his body. So he was itchy for a couple of days, but we continued every day going on this journey. So we would witness mountains of trash on both sides of the river, open fires at almost every 300 meters. And at one point, we even got stuck in a plastic berg. So the plastic was so thick, mixed with toxicity and toxic waste, that it was impossible to paddle. And as an environmental activist, that was the moment that I was the most shocked ever. Right in front of my eyes, I witnessed a turtle suffocating on this plastic, unable to make its way up, and just being super overwhelmed by the river conditions. I couldn't resist, but feeling completely helpless and not able to help. So this really showed me how far we've come in the destruction of our planet. To see so many people living next to this in these conditions with very little conscience of the effects that pollution actually has on them was truly a wake-up call for us. That our kayaks became the crucial asset for us. It became a conversation starter. To float on the very materials that pollute this waterway, it opened up the minds of many. So we had kids running alongside the riverbanks, following our journey, very interested by the idea of the floating bottles, as well as eco-villages. They invited us to teach them how to replicate the concept. And so we produced a video series documenting our journey, but mainly documenting the amazing people that we met along the way. And through combining our passions for filmmaking, activism, adventure, we realized that it was an amazing way to inform people around the world about the pressing problems and the solutions around to protect them. So from Pak Indra Darmawan, who has a trash scavenger cooperative where he gets old fishermen to fish trash. And he also started a school where kids paid tuition with trash. And then there was Jure Gunta, who's an environmental group who every day with so much energy clean up the sewers of Bandung, to this older group of ladies called Ibu Ibus. And every week they reconcile very socially and do a street cleanup. So it was amazing to see all these people really act upon to clean the river. And that was really the highlight, I think, of our trip. It wasn't anymore about the conditions, but about this community that was really into cleaning it up. So upon releasing our videos on social media, on our Facebook page, Make a Change World, we were astonished to see them going completely viral in Indonesia. And 2 weeks after finishing the expedition, the Indonesian Ministry of the Environment invited us to have a meeting with him, and he announced on camera an emergency plan to clean up the river after watching our videos. So we're super psyched about that. And 4 months later, the Indonesian president announces that he fully supports the cleanup. And so 3 months ago, we get the amazing pleasure of meeting him. And this is a little exclusive interview that I made with him.
Whenever you're ready. So, what do you think about the Citarum? Do you think it's possible for it to be clean again?
Gary, you will see that Citarum River in 7 years will be the cleanest river.
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay. You don't think you can play it? Okay. So this is unfortunate, but 7,000 troops have been deployed to clean up the river in a full-scale cleanup. And so Jokowi says that in 7 years, the Citarum River will be the cleanest river. And so to get his on-camera commitment was truly amazing. The Indonesian army is working night and day, 24/7, and are living with people in their communities and are really pushing the boundaries when it comes to behavioral change, but also teaching them about better waste management strategies. And so 10 different ministries have been involved to clean up this river and are working with regional and national government. And on my last visit a month ago, I realized that things were actually happening. Big change was happening. The water is getting better. Tributaries along the city of Bandung that are directly going into the Citarum have been fully cleaned up already within 3 months of work. And communities are starting to adopt no plastic policies within their villages. And over 50 industries have been closed down due to illegal dumping activities. And so, also, I had the honor of meeting one of Indonesia's head generals during my last visit, who makes sure that I share his message. And he said that Indonesia, because of the Indonesian army, can no longer go to war within the next 5 years because they're too busy cleaning up their waterways. So that's what I call peace and clean, which is amazing. So Indonesia has really stepped up to beat pollution by starting to clean up the world's dirtiest river, and has elevated this discussion of pollution and environmental preservation nationwide, from seeing national government, regional government, ministries. And it's amazing to have seen that just from the power of video and social media. And so although the fight for pollution is definitely set to be a long one, it's crucial to start from our rivers. If we want to protect the lungs of our planet, we have to protect the rivers before it gets out in the open sea, because once it gets out in the open sea, it becomes uncontrollable. And so we each have a responsibility to take to fight towards cleaner seas and cleaner oceans, because at the end of the day, water is our most important resource. And so whether it's by starting to say no to plastic straws or going out on one of these adventures, we each here can have our parts to protect our world for the generations to come. Thank you. Is it working? Okay.
Whenever you're ready. So, what do you think about? Whenever you're ready. So, what do you think about the Citarum? Do you think it's possible for it to be clean again?
Gary, you will see that Citarum River in 7 years will be the cleanest river.
Thank you. Perfect.